And now, the general weather around Alaska.
There's a winter storm warning out for the northwest coast, including the NOAA Valley and Kotzebue area into Selawik and the Kobuk Valley, as well as the western Arctic coast. That winter storm warning's out for tonight and Monday for possibly 6 to 10 inches of snow falling, especially on the upslope areas of the mountains here, and winds gusting to 45 miles per hour. And with those gusty winds, there's also a high surf advisory out for St. Lawrence Island and the Bering Strait coast and the southern coast of the Seward Peninsula there for heavy surf or high surf, possibly causing minor beach erosion. And on the satellite, see a big front out here to the west, making its way past Shimya, mostly sliding off to the northeast there. And that bringing some areas of gusty winds and snow in, a couple of bands here in advance of the main front farther back to the west into the northwest interior today. And some of that moisture sliding into the central part of the state, making it generally cloudy with areas of light snow or flurries here in the central interior areas. A lot of sunshine down to the south, some high clouds, cirrus getting into the Kuskokwim Valley, and otherwise sunshine, Kodiak Island, all along the North Gulf Coast, Prince William Sound, and drier over the Panhandle. Got some clouds there swinging through, coming in from the northwest there. And eventually that'll dissipate, looking for another couple of dry days for the southeast coast there, as well as southern Alaska here. Here's that moisture that made its way into the central interior today. Heavier wind and precipitation back to the northwest here along the northwest coast with gusty winds and some snow, possibly areas of mixed rain and snow there. But generally, light precipitation so far up in that area. High pressure, light winds. Dry conditions, Bristol Bay, Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta, Kuskokwim Valley, actually all the way out into the central Aleutians, and nice conditions over the Panhandle, other than the variable clouds you had, but conditions were dry, precipitation-free. Otherwise, this front bringing some wind and rain into the western Aleutians, but the heaviest moisture up to the north there. See, tonight that whole system pushes eastward, and winds possibly gusting to 55 miles an hour, St. Lawrence Island through the Bering Strait areas. Pretty tight gradient there, and that's why there's that high surf advisory up, and then the winter storm warning here for the northwest coast and NOAA Valley areas there. This part of the system, or this moisture that broke away from the system here, starting to dissipate over the central interior now and becoming less of a factor as high pressure continues to control areas from the Yukon right into the eastern Arctic coast and down into Bristol Bay, Gulf of Alaska. Light winds, dry conditions, and variably cloudy here across southern Alaska. This trough swinging down to the southeast there, pretty dry trough, but increasing winds, tightening gradient here. You're going to see some gale force northerly winds, north to northeast winds there over the Lynn Canal area, and that's going to start driving down some colder air as well. And for tomorrow, pretty windy conditions, colder temperatures there for the Panhandle, all the way down into our Dixon entrance due to that strong high pressure over the Yukon. And not much of a gradient, light winds and dry over the interior. Fair amount of clouds, though, still in the central areas. And then the blowing snow here for the Seward Peninsula on up into the northwest part of the state and the Kobuk Valley, cutting off before you get into the Koyukuk Valley there, and then downsloping flow off the Brooks Range, keeping the north slope, most of the Arctic coast dry. And then this front really weakening here in the southern portion, just some light amounts of moisture here for the Yukon Delta coast on down in toward the Pribilofs, dry for the Aleutians with light winds. And then for Tuesday, next system comes in, but it's pretty weak here. Weak front bringing some areas of rain into the central Aleutians again, and then a stronger system down to the south might kick the winds up out of the east there, but not too strong, maybe sending some moisture up to the Fox Islands, Adak and Atka, on Alaska and those areas. High pressure continues over the central interior, and we'll see that this front Monday really washes out. This is all that's left of it by Tuesday afternoon, maybe bringing some light snow to the central Arctic coast. Maybe a little breezy on the eastern Arctic coast, but much better back here to the west and over the Bering Strait, Seward Peninsula, maybe some clearing, and a better chance of clearing here over the southern half of Alaska, especially down into the Prince William Sound area, Kodiak Island, Copper River Basin, on down the southeast coast, looking really good, although those winds starting really dropping off now. They won't end completely, but they'll be lighter than tomorrow on Tuesday. For the lows tonight, lower 20s there with the windy conditions for the northern panhandle, otherwise lower to mid 30s down to the south. Around 5 in the Copper River Basin, you can see temperatures pretty well contrasted from east to west here, with temperatures in the 30s for the Seward Peninsula, northern Bering Sea to the Pribilofs. And for the highs tomorrow, coldest in the east, warmest in the west, 42 degrees up to Savunga, Gamble, upper 30s here for the Seward Peninsula, all the way up to Point Hope, Cape Lisburn. In fact, Wainwright may have a high of 35 degrees, in the 20s to the east. 5 to 10 for the eastern Brooks Range area, otherwise in the mid to upper 20s for the central interior zones. In the 30s, south central Alaska, lower 40s, Seward, Homer, mid 40s, Kodiak, 45 to 50 for the Alaska Peninsula and the Aleutians, and upper 20s now from Juneau northward to Haines, Skagway, and 30s to lower 40s as you head down toward Dixon Entrance. And then the lows following morning, 20 to 25 over the northern southeast coast, and near 30 down to the south. 0 to 15 here over the eastern interior, warming into the 30s above freezing here out toward the coast, Seward Peninsula area, up mid-teens for the eastern Arctic coast around Barter Island, Kaktovik, to lower 30s in the west, and 40s for the Aleutians. And for the highs the following day, mid to upper 30s, south central Alaska, warmer toward Homer, upper 40s for Kodiak, and in the 20s, central and eastern interior, cooling to about near 20 for Eagle, lower 20s around Northway and Tok, up mid 20s Copper River Basin, and mostly in the 40s, mid to upper 30s for the northern panhandle, but in the 40s elsewhere, and above freezing for just about the entire stretch of the Arctic coast.